Welcome back to your weekly roundup of everything that happened in Zenless Zone Zero, where we will cover everything that you missed inside and outside of the game. Right now though, hot on the heels of the 2.1 livestream, it is time to gear up for Weiss Boy Summer. Starting off with in-game news, we have several new codes available for you to redeem, each one giving polychromes. These were hidden in the final video of the 2.1 livestream, and they are on screen right now. Remember, these are 5 separate codes, so be sure to redeem each and every one of them. Otherwise, of course, in-game, there's not really that much to go over, as we are, of course, winding down the last full week of patch 2.0. Although, the one thing of note that happened earlier in the past week is that the 1-for-1 battery recycling event featuring everyone's favorite Shell made a return. So be sure to visit her in the Feilum Heights after spending some batteries each day for some bonus polychrome rewards. But for the new things happening in-game, this Friday, we will have our regularly scheduled Deadly Assault reset. And this time around, we will be seeing the return of the Miasma Priest boss, as well as the notorious version of the Dead End Butcher and the regular version of Pompeii. So not the Red Mr. Krabs version. And then once again, there was the 2.1 live stream. And I already have a video going over everything that was shown off, so feel free to check that out if you haven't already. But the TLDR and the most important things that you should know is that we will be getting reruns for both Miyabi and Yanagi. So in the first half of patch 2.1, we will have the Yuzuha and the Miyabi banners, and in the second half, we will have the Alice and Yanagi banners. Now, for those of you who maybe just recently started the game because of the whole big buzz from Season 2, you may or may not know about who Miyabi is and how everyone always puts her on the highest pedestal ever, and there's a good reason for that. She was, is, and probably will continue to be one of the strongest characters in the game. But you might also be seeing a lot of people hyping up Yuzuha too, for being a limited support, and so far the last time we got a limited support was in the form of Astra Yao, and she too was so good that she could be pretty much slotted anywhere and everywhere in any team. So you may have also seen a lot of people say that Yuzuha is going to be a quote-unquote must-pull agent, especially since she buffs Anomaly, and while Anomaly has sort of been the go-to method to deal damage for a long time in Zenless Zone Zero. And I'm sure that many of you new players are probably wondering who to pull for now. But as always, you should always pull for who you like first and foremost, but if you do want to pull for a character that's strong or will help you get better scores and stuff like Shiyu Defense or Deadly Assault, if you do not yet have Miyabi, then I would highly recommend trying to get her. Sure, Yuzuha is very likely going to be a busted support, but assuming that you are new, there isn't really a point in grabbing Yuzuha if you don't have anything for her to buff in the first place. On the flip side though, for some of the veteran players who've been playing for a while, you're probably looking at that Alice banner and thinking to yourself, what's going to happen to my Jane? Is she going to be, dare I say, power crept? And the good news is that Jane will likely be perfectly fine. You could consider Alice as a side grade or an alternative. In fact, Jane will be very good in 2.1 because obviously there will be a lot of buffs for physical and anomaly to help shield Alice, which means that Jane will also be able to benefit from these buffs. That being said though, I'm sure that Alice will technically probably be a little bit better than Jane by some margin, either because of just her raw numbers and skills, or because her more recent kit might play more nicely with some other stuff that came out post-Jane. Say for example Yanagi's Disorders on Demand, or Yuzuha being, well, Yuzuha. But that gap will probably not be that big that Jane becomes entirely obsolete. And as always, the biggest tip I could say is that before jumping the gun and pulling for any of these units, you should always be aware that the drip marketing for patch 2.2 could end up revealing somebody that you might like much more than any of these other agents. I mean, they kind of did that with Yuzuha now, right? They rerun Astra, the supposedly best support ever that everybody should pull, and then they release another support that might honestly give Astra some contention, right? But speaking of pulling for agents, if you would like to top up on some polychromes yourselves, why not try using LD Shop? Especially considering you can get top-up options cheaper through LD Shop than you would in-game, with discounts of up to nearly 22% for new users. For example, purchasing an internet membership through LD Shop costs only $3.87 compared to the $5 if you were to purchase it in-game. And topping up is really easy. All you need is your in-game user ID and your server. Once you fill those in, you can click on top up, choose your payment method, and within seconds your order is completed, and you can see the rewards in-game. And yes, you can even get the double bonus for first-time top-ups. LD Shop is a trusted and authorized service that is 100% safe and legitimate. Also, if you use my link in the description when you register on LD Shop, you will also get a 5% off coupon to use. And if you spend over $80, you will also gain a VIP membership, which can earn you free internet memberships and regular coupons. Once again, you can check out the description and the pinned comment to start saving with LD Shop. Moving on to the social media side of things, even though we're already a week into July, it's never too late to put up a calendar, especially when it's one that features fufu. There are 2 versions of this fufu wallpaper for both desktop and mobile, which you can download for free using the link in the description. You can use that calendar to mark down the date of the 2.1 release on the 16th of July, but while you wait, you can also take part in the 2.1 teaser retweet event where you could win an acrylic charm or either an iPhone 16 or an Xbox Series X. I'm not sure between the iPhone or the Xbox because the tweet says an Xbox but the image says an iPhone. But I mean, hey, either way, you could win something pretty cool. The link to said tweet is down in the description below. And for those of you in London, starting next week for a full month from July to August 15th, Operation Yum is coming to you, specifically at the Butchie's restaurants. Elsewhere in the world though, things are gearing up for the Hoyo Fest 2025 later this month in Malaysia, the Philippines and Singapore. So if you plan on going, you can start purchasing tickets right now. But even if you can't attend, there is still a Hoyo Fest repost event on Twitter where you can win some mystery merchandise. All you have to do is share the tweet in the description with your HoyoLab ID, not your Zenless Zone Zero ID, as well as using the correct hashtags, and comment which of the various on-site events you are excited for. And then last but not least, for the speculation zone, I will once again be talking about patch 2.1. But I thought I would just give you all a heads up. It is very likely that towards the second half of patch 2.1, it may start to seem like the game is going to be a bit stagnant when it comes to content. I only say this because there was no agent story announced, so when the banners for Yanagi and Alice come out, there may be one small event that comes out alongside it, but otherwise, that's kinda it. And if you aren't already interested on rolling for either of those two, then that week will seem very meh. There won't be a big splash like there would be where you get a new event and the agent and their agent story and everything. The best way I could describe it would be with patch 1.7, where the same happened, with Hugo's banner arriving, but nothing really else to accompany it. Now, to be fair, patch 2.1 does have a lot more interesting new events that we did not get in patch 1.7, but I do fear that it might be a bit front-loaded. So the patch comes out, and then you do the story, you do all the summer stuff, and you do the new tower mode, and then depending on when it drops, you spam that bang boo auto chess mode. But depending on the pacing of these events, once you finish all those cool new ones, there will be, maybe 4 weeks of nothing really new? Hopefully only 3 weeks. And it doesn't help that the banners themselves, Alice and Yanagi, are, in my opinion, probably going to be eclipsed by the banners before and after. I mean, we've got a Miyabi rerun just before, and it's likely that patch 2.2 will have Orpheus, which I'm sure many people are excited for, as well as Kimono Minato, who I'm sure people are also excited for. So I just thought I would give a heads up that it might feel like there's not that much buzz and hype happening towards the second half of patch 2.1. But again, maybe that's just me being a Debbie Downer over here. I would like to think that we're all going to be very happy and have lots of fun and nothing will ever go wrong. But otherwise, as always, thank you all for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, liking, commenting and subscribing is greatly appreciated. So until next time, bye bye!